Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of The Monkey King 2, a fantasy action film from 2016 that is a Chinese-Hong Kong co-production. But before I review that movie, I'd like to very briefly give my thoughts on the last Monkey King film first. Now, I saw that 2014 Monkey King film before I started posting video reviews on this YouTube channel. But I'm not going to do a separate review for it because, frankly, I don't think it deserves one. My overall thoughts are that it was okay. I'd probably describe it as cheesy, watchable fluff that was produced for the lowest common denominator in an effort to make as much money as possible. And we know a lot about that in the United States, don't we? So, the character and story development were rather weak. The action at times was way too cartoonish to be entertaining. I mean, why did every fight have to take place in the sky? I don't know, man. Some of the CGI effects were not very good. But there were some positives in that film. Donnie Yen was actually quite good as the Monkey King because he gave an energetic, convincing performance that is entertaining to watch. The film had an effective fantasy feel and incorporated a culturally specific legend, which is implicitly interesting. And some of the action was pretty good. So overall, I would give, the 2014 Monkey King film maybe a barely passable grade. It was watchable, you know what I mean? But it didn't really have much depth or anything to it in terms of overall quality filmmaking, I guess. But going into the Monkey King 2, I was not expecting very much, obviously, based on my experiences with the last film. And given the fact that Donnie Yen did not return, and was ultimately replaced by Aaron Kwok in the lead role, only added to my lack of enthusiasm overall. Because I'm a bigger Donnie Yen fan than I am an Aaron Kwok fan. But I have to say this. The Monkey King 2 is much better than its predecessor on almost every level. It's actually surprisingly good. Now the basic plot goes like this. In an act of desperation, a monk, played by William Feng, releases the Monkey King, played by Aaron Kwok, from his mountain prison. Afterward, they both journey to the west but must overcome the manipulations of an evil witch, played by Gong Li, who wishes to eat the monk for her own sustenance. So that's, pretty good premise there. Now the relationship in this film between the leads is adequately developed, and the viewer will root for their friendly bond. The witch's tricks create some good dramatic tension between these two main characters, because her tactics usually involve deception. She and her minions can shapeshift into different people, which gives them an advantage in terms of fooling human beings. So she attempts to manufacture conflict between the Monkey King and the monk, because she wants the Monkey King to act in a violent manner, which is totally against the monk's beliefs. If she's able to successfully do this and separate them, then that leaves the monk in a more vulnerable position where she can consume him and gain more life onto her lifespan. So some viewers may find this conflict to be a little bit contrived and repetitive because it basically drives the entire film. And there are multiple scenes where this happens, where she tries to manipulate them using basically similar methods, so to speak. But I think it works within the context of the story, and I thought it was well executed overall. Now, in terms of acting, Aaron Kwok is surprisingly good here in the lead role. He's a very inconsistent actor. I mean, he's given us some good performances in stuff like The Detective and Throwdown, and he's also given us a lot of dreadful performances in films like Divergence and Anna Magdalena. But fortunately, he's on his A game here and gives a different spin on the Monkey King character because he humanizes him a little bit more than Donnie Yen did in the last film in this franchise. So I did enjoy Kwok's interpretation here. He did a good job. The supporting actor, or I guess second lead actor, William Feng, is also solid here, and he's becoming a more recognizable face to me personally. I really liked him in Young Detective D, Rise of the Sea Dragon, as well, and he impressed me to the point where I now look forward to his future appearances. Gong Li, of course, gets plentiful screen time as the villain, and she does a good job as expected. Now, what about the CGI effects here? Because I had some problems with the effects in the last Monkey King film. Well, the CGI in the Monkey King 2 are still a bit shoddy at times, but they are used in a more engaging manner than in the 2014 film. Now, it's hard to explain why I feel this way, but it wasn't as distractingly cartoonish to me. It felt a little bit more, I could buy into it a little bit more. It felt more like, for example, if they create a creature with the CGI, it felt more like the creature was existing in the world than just a cartoon type creation that just didn't gel with the rest of the film. I think that the effects work better here. There are actually a few exciting, fun special effects sequences, actually, that are highlights in this film. One of which, actually two of which, occur near the beginning, and then there's a memorable monster finale fight. There are some impressive set and character designs as well, which help out the visuals quite a bit. And any film that showcases an army of skeletons gets brownie points from me, because I'm a big fan of skeletons in fantasy movies. So the final positive I'd like to point out is that the Monkey King 2 has some of that weirdness of Hong Kong fantasy films from the early 90s, which makes it feel more authentic and creative. It does not feel like a flimsy, lazily produced cash grab, which I think the last film kind of had a little bit of that flavor to it. This definitely feels like it has a little bit more heart to it than the last Monkey King film, and I think that should rub off on the viewer in a positive fashion. This isn't a fantastic or an exceptional film by any means, but it seems like they just put more effort into the characters and the story and the special effects and even the action. It just comes off a lot better to me. So overall, I would definitely recommend the Monkey King 2. The plot and characters are basic and somewhat repetitive, but the positives outweigh the negatives here. It is not yet available on DVD in the West, but it is available on Region 3 format with English subtitles on websites like Yes Asia. So those are my opinions there, and as always, we'll see you next time.